I know when you see established gardens online, it can look overwhelming as a beginner, like you need a green thumb or a ton of time. The truth is, a thriving garden isn't about luck or magic. It's about a few simple intentional steps that give you clarity and confidence before you ever put a shovel in the ground. I've distilled 20 plus years of gardening down into these 7 steps so that you can stop guessing and start growing. So let's get started right now. Rule number 1 is simple, but it is non-negotiable, and that is vet your location. This covers 2 critical factors, sunshine and water. And first up is sunshine. Before you buy a single seed, you're going to need to know what the light is like in your location. Most veggies, especially those nutrient-packed powerhouse ones like tomatoes, peppers, and squash, they need at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sun, and that's sun that is not blocked by anything. Leafy salad greens, on the other hand, can handle less. So spend a day just watching your yard. It's going to be tempting to stick the garden in a hidden corner or right up against a fence, but if the sun isn't there, the plants simply aren't going to grow. The strongest sunlight happens between about 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., so that's the most important window to watch. Right now it's around noon, and it's February, so the thing to consider is that the shadows are going to look different in February than they are in June, so it's going to be helpful to keep an eye on things throughout the year just so that you can get used to where the shadows are going to fall. And actually, I should mention that morning sun is fabulous, but that strong afternoon sun is what really powers those summer crops. So the second part of this rule is water access. This sounds simple, but hauling buckets of water across the yard gets old really fast. Veggie plants are thirsty, and in the heat of the summer, you might be out here watering every single day. So you're going to want to make sure that your garden is close to a water source and that your hose reaches easily. Maybe take some time to research easy irrigation kits. They're super fun to set up. If watering is difficult, you're not going to do it and your plants are going to suffer. So definitely check that out before you dig, because you can set it up once and save yourself a ton of time all season long. Rule number 2 is manage your scale. This is where most new gardeners get into trouble, and even experienced gardeners who scale way up. Trust me, I have been there. You have to be realistic about your time. Gardening takes a consistent effort, not just the fun part of planting, but the maintenance part, the watering, the weeding, and the harvesting. And if you only have a few hours a week, plan for a garden size that fits that schedule. It's way better to have a small success than a large stress. And this leads directly to the principle of starting small. I know it's tempting to till up the whole entire backyard because you're excited in the spring, but a small, well-tended garden will produce so much more food than a large, weedy one. And this is something I break down step by step inside my full course so that you can have a clear plan instead of guessing. That's linked below. And remember, small gardens count. Even if you only have a balcony or a small patio, you can grow so many different kinds of food crops like lettuce and herbs in containers. So don't wait for the perfect property to start growing. You can grow so much food in just a few square feet, and frankly, managing a few pots is the best way to learn the ropes without the pressure of a massive garden. It helps you understand your climate a lot more and how plants grow before you commit to a huge project. Rule number 3 is keep the setup simple. Raised beds, containers, and in-ground rows all work. The best method for you is going to be the one that fits your budget and your space right now. If you have great soil where you live, in-ground makes sense. If you're dealing with heavy clay like I am, raised beds and containers give you way more control and they save a lot of frustration. However, whatever setup you choose, you must plan for walking space. So don't forget to leave room for you. You need to be able to kneel, reach, and bring in a wheelbarrow or a harvest basket and have space to add trellises if you'd like. I recommend paths that are at least 2 to 3 feet wide. Some of mine are actually 4 feet wide to accommodate for certain trellises. It might feel like wasted space when you're building it, but trust me, you do not want to be crushing your beautiful plants just to harvest them. And if you're setting up raised beds, make sure they're not going to be too wide for you, because you should be able to reach the center of the bed from the side without stepping into it and compacting the soil. Rule number 4, I think, is the heartbeat of gardening, and that's prioritizing soil health. This starts with ensuring that you have soft, loose soil. Roots need to breathe and move easily to access nutrients, so if your ground is hard and compacted, both you and your plants are going to struggle. Whether you're setting up raised beds or planting in the ground, focus on healthy soil so that roots can reach down and get the water and the nutrients the plants are going to need to thrive and then give you harvests. Good soil holds moisture, but it drains well, and it actually feels like a wrung out sponge when it has the right amount of moisture in it. So in order to keep your soil healthy, you're going to need to keep feeding it. Vegetable plants are hungry and they pull a lot of energy from the ground to make that produce for you. Adding compost, which is organic matter, is how you can keep your garden feeding you and your family all year through healthy soil. Good soil is biologically active. Think of the soil like it's like a bank account where you have to keep making deposits if you want to make withdrawals. I add a few inches of compost to the top of the soil at the end and start of every season and every time I plant something. This adds nutrients, but it also helps the soil hold onto water, which saves time on watering later. So feed it well before you plant. Rule number 5 is what I call defensive gardening, and the biggest defense you have is mulch. I cannot stress this enough. Covering your soil with straw, shredded leaves, pine needles, or wood chips retains moisture and suppresses weeds. It makes the maintenance so much easier. Bare soil is sad soil, so keep it covered. Mulch saves time, it saves water and energy all at once. The second part of defense is giving your plants breathing room. It's so easy to overcrowd plants when they're tiny seedlings, but they're going to get bigger. So if you plant them too close, moisture gets trapped and that leads to fungal issues. The plants aren't going to be able to get enough sunlight and they're not going to be able to spread out and reach their full size. Follow the spacing on the seed packet and remember that less is more, and fewer plants with space are always going to outproduce crowded ones, so give them space to thrive. On to rule number 6, which is to select the right crops. For your first year, I highly recommend growing easy plants first. Radishes, lettuce, green beans, and herbs are going to give you quick wins and build confidence. Herbs are gateway crops. They're easy, high value, and they're used constantly in the kitchen. This builds your confidence before you tackle the trickier crops like cauliflower or even tomatoes and peppers, which take months to care for. It's so satisfying to harvest a radish just 30 days after planting a seed. You also need to understand your seasons. Here in upstate South Carolina, even though we have the 4 distinct seasons, I can grow almost all year round, but the crops change. Tomatoes love heat and peas love cool weather. Planting at the right time does most of the work for you. If you plant peas in July in most climates, those plants are not going to make it because they hate heat. So the point is to work with your weather, not against it. And finally, rule number 7 is to adopt a grower's mindset. And first of all, expect bugs. You will see bugs, and not all of them are bad. But seeing a hole in a leaf doesn't mean you failed. Just keep an eye out and try not to panic. A perfect garden with 0 insects is not going to exist. If you spray chemicals to kill pests, you might kill the good bugs that eat the annoying bugs, and you also might expose yourself to chemicals on the produce you're going to be eating. There are safe ways to help you combat pests in your garden, but in my experience, the best defense is healthy soil to help keep your plants healthy so that they can stand up to pests and diseases better. It's like our immune systems. The better we eat, the better our immune system works for us. And lastly, write it all down. A simple notebook where you can write down what you planted and when and what worked and what didn't becomes your most powerful tool. Your garden teaches you if you pay attention. And next season, that notebook is going to be more valuable than any garden book you could ever buy. So there you have it, 7 golden rules that cover the essentials of starting a garden with confidence. And it really just takes a little bit of planning to have a productive and rewarding first year. And once these pieces are in place, everything else gets easier. Now that you know the rules, you need to know exactly what to plant first. And in this next video, I talk about the top easiest vegetables for beginners. So click or tap it on your screen and I will see you there. Thanks for watching.